My name is Hannah, and this is my beauty budget. So we're a couple of days into March already, but I'm postponing my February check-in for one more video. It will definitely be Wednesday's video, the video about how it's going to be budgeting, how it went in the month of February. But tonight it's a similar story to when I filmed on Wednesday. Well, actually no, Wednesday was my birthday and I wanted to have a good time. Today I'm just feeling super crummy. I'm getting sick and very low energy, not really feeling myself, but I have to film because it's Saturday and this video is going up on Sunday. So I decided to just present my favorites today because I've actually been really looking forward to my favorites video during February. There have been a number of things that I've squirreled away and been like, ooh, this is definitely my favorite. I can't wait to tell everyone about this. So I feel just a little bit more energetically prepared for this. And also this is a pretty easy video to film and edit, pretty straightforward. So this is what I'm doing today and the check-in will be on Wednesday. Two things before we start. Tonight, when you're watching this, so Sunday night, March 3rd, I am going to be a guest on the Half Cousins podcast. It's going to be me and Lacey. I think we're just going to be talking about whatever. So it's probably a good opportunity for a Q&A type situation. If you guys have any questions for me or Lacey, then please attend the Half Cousins podcast tonight. I'll leave a link down below. It's an online podcast, so it happens through YouTube. It's just like watching a YouTube video, except that it's live. It's at 6 p.m. Pacific time. But if you can't make it, it records itself and then it will stay posted. So you can go back and watch the episode later if you can't make it when it's live. Anyway, I hope a bunch of you will be there. I love seeing your names in the chat. I love seeing what you have to say. This will be my third time being a guest on Half Cousins podcast, and I have loved the first two times so much. I'm really excited to be returning. The second thing that I wanted to tell you is that these earrings that I'm wearing actually are by Luisa Jewelry, the jewelry brand that I made a sponsored video for last week. But these earrings weren't part of the set that they sent me for review, or the set that they sent me to show when I did my sponsored video. These earrings were a birthday gift. I actually wanted them so much that of all the things I could have put on my birthday wish list, these were one of the few things that I put there. I was like, yeah, I would really like to receive these for my birthday, and I did. I think it's because the receipt of those 3 pairs of earrings, all 3 of which are a little bit more dramatic than these, something about them made me want to wear earrings more casually. And maybe this can kind of count as a favorite, so maybe this is sort of getting into the meat of the video, because I would say that wearing earrings as part of more daytime outfits, that has been something I've been doing this month that I don't usually do. My style, my aesthetic previous to this month when it comes to jewelry has always been to pull out a pair of statement, glamorous earrings for events. So when I go out dancing, or when I go out to dinner, or when I'm really trying to go all the way, and sometimes for videos, you know, sometimes for dressing up to film YouTube videos, I will wear one of my pairs of earrings. And traditionally they've always been like these huge chunky crystal contraptions. Like I always go for these really editorial earrings. And 2 of the 3 pairs that Luisa sent me were more editorial. Those dangly, actually no, 1 pair, the dangly shapes pair that I was wearing was kind of more editorial. But then the other 2 pairs are a little bit more daytime, a little bit more toned down, and I surprised myself by falling more in love with the hoops. I actually have the big hoops right here. Here's one of them. These were the ones that I fell really in love with that they sent me, because I feel so fierce during the daytime when I wear these, and I feel like they really suit my daytime aesthetic. And it kind of opened this whole door for me into the world of wearing a fierce earring, or the way that an earring can flatter the face and work with an outfit but still be relatively casual. And that just hasn't been me up until now. And this month, as I was testing out those earrings to decide whether or not I wanted to make sponsored content for Luisa, because I always want to make sure I really love the thing before I agree to do that. So I've been wearing them for a while, and I just could not get enough of those hoops, and it made me want to add a couple more pairs of earrings to my collection that kind of fit that role, because I didn't have anything like that. All of the earrings that I have had previously have been very bold statement and really fancy, like crystals. fancy stuff. So I saw these on the website after the whole thing had happened, after I had filmed the video, after I had done the sponsorship. It was all over, and I was like, I think I want another pair of Ana Luisa earrings. So I put these on my wish list and I love them. And I'll link these down below. They are hoops as well. They're like these little thick kind of pearl-shaped hoops. I hope it's very clear, but this video is not sponsored at all. In fact, the rep from Ana Luisa doesn't even know that I have been secretly acquiring Ana Luisa jewelry outside of the confines of our collaboration, but I wanted to tell you about it. That is it for the introduction, sort of meaty introduction. Let's go ahead and get into the pre-planned meat of the actual video. Many of my favorites this month are makeup techniques or aesthetics, kinds of makeup styles, makeup choices. I think I might have called them in my last favorites video. These are my favorite kinds of favorites. And sometimes when I sit down to list my favorites, it's more like products. Like I've really been loving this certain lipstick or this one scented candle or something, you know, like sometimes I've just been really cherishing a certain product. And this month it's really heavy on the styles. Like I've been cherishing a certain look and I've been really going for a certain thing most days this month. So I think that's why I was so excited to share this list with you. So the first thing that I have been doing almost unceasingly in the month of February, or that I did almost unceasingly, was to use blush as my transition shade. To use blush essentially to set my lid primer when I was doing eye looks and I used an eye primer. And I was mostly reaching for this Becca blush palette because I shopped my stash for it. So these are the blushes that I've been trying to use the most. And there's an array in here. So there's this more pale pinky one, Wisteria. There's Songbird, which is the dusky apricot, and then Snapdragon, which is this brighter one on this side. And so I can get an array of red based looks by using these blushes, but I have been dipping into my other blushes too. It hasn't just been these three. These are just the three that I've been using absolutely the most to do this technique. So on my eyes today, I used Wisteria, and that's actually been my most reached for blush for my eyes this month for sure. That's been the one I've been using all the time. It's the closest to my skin tone of these blushes and of a lot of the ones that I've been using, but you can build it up. So you guys can probably see from there the effect of the blush on my eyes. And I've been enjoying it not only because of the look, the warm kind of flushed under the skin look that it gives, but because of the finish. Blushes tend to be really silky, and they tend to sometimes have sort of a almost intangible sheen. They're skin-like, they're sensual, because those textures of blushes, that becomes really important when you're putting it all over your cheek. And so I've been loving kind of the blend of blushes on my eyes, the way they'll easily wash out and blow out up into my brows or out, you know, to my temples and even into my cheeks. And actually that's one of the best parts of it too, is that today, for example, I have Wisteria on my eyes and on my cheeks, so it's kind of like one look. It's very cohesive, and that's something that I do sometimes with blush. I'll take blush into my eye look after the eye look is completed, but when it comes time to do my blush and there's a blush that I've already used on my eyes, it's gratifying to be able to just grab that blush and put it on my cheeks as well and know that will be totally wedded together with the eye look. So I've been loving using blush on my eyes, and I actually don't see an end in sight for that technique because I'm still really into it. I'm as into it today as I was at the beginning of February. So kind of in the same vein, I've been really into looks like this. I wore this eye look today to demonstrate, but I think you would know because it seems like I've been wearing the same eye look in almost every video in February, and it's been this. It's been variations on this kind of intense, grubby cranberry eye. And I wanted to separate it. I didn't want to just say I've been really into red eyes this month. I wanted to separate out the blush technique because that's something I've separately been doing. And I've actually been doing that some and then going in not with this color. One thing that's worked out really well has been putting blush down as a base and then going in with an iridescent kind of brown to green light brown to green. So Tea Garden from ColourPop is one of those. Lime Chrome from the Natasha Denona Gold palette. Actually, I have that right here. So this is what I'm talking about. This kind of iridescent lid topper that has kind of a chartreuse shifting gold. There's something about the effect of that kind of shimmer on the lids over top of a blushy base on the eyes that I've really gotten into this month. Even though it's kind of like red and green, which are contrasting colors, and usually you would think that they wouldn't work that well together, it's been working for me, so I've been really loving that. Which is just to say that the whole red eye look is something I've been into, but I've also been into the blush base separate from red on the lids. That I'm not making no sense, I'm sorry. I hope you get what I'm saying. I'm just trying to explain why they're two separate bullet points. Blush as a setting powder on my lids and a cranberry eye look. Those are two things I've been really into this month, even though they seem like kind of the same thing. Okay, oh my gosh, Hannah. I wanted to mention one eyeshadow in particular. This is from one of the Juvia's Place palettes. I can't remember which one it was from. I depotted it during my eyeshadow depotting video, and I kept it during my single eyeshadow declutter video. It looks deceptively inconspicuous in the pan. It looks kind of just like a maybe slightly dull cranberry metallic, but it's a bit of a duochrome. It's like a gold shifting red cranberry duochrome. And I will put the information down below about which palette it's in, obviously. I won't leave you hanging. This is the kind of thing that I fear can never be expressed on camera in the way that it looks. It's like fire. It's like this orangey cranberry fire. I've been wearing this on my lids a lot, and it's what I have on my lids today. I didn't pack it on too intensely. I just kind of washed it over the lids and blushed it out into the blush. But yeah, you can see it shining from there, right? This is the epitome of what I've been into for my eyes lately. So to go along with this kind of eye look as my favorite thing this month, I have two brushes that I wanted to talk about, but again, I'm not sure it's exactly these brushes that I've been loving. It is the quality of very rough and imprecise synthetic brushes that I have been appreciating this month more than I ever have before. This has been my favorite brush, and this is an e.l.f. brush. It's the e.l.f. Flawless Concealer Brush, but I use it for eyeshadow. And it might be that the fact that it's for concealer is why I've been liking it so much for eyeshadow, because it's kind of flat. It's not very flat, it's not a very sharp edge, but it is kind of flat. I mean, it's a concealer brush, you know? And then it's bushy, but it's a bit dense, and it's very, very plasticky synthetic. It's not super soft, and so it doesn't hold on to shadow and sort of soak up eyeshadow the way that higher end synthetic brushes and natural hair brushes do. And I've been really liking that because I feel like I can be messy with it and I can kind of scrub it all over. This is what I've been using with the blush to blow out the top parts of my eye looks, because I feel like I can go into the blush and just all over my lids, and it just always blends seamlessly and just washes out, rather than kind of hiding in little corners of the brush, and then you're blending and blending, and suddenly it's like a little patch or a little bit comes darker out here than you expected. And I mean, all of this can depend on which eyeshadow you're using, which technique you're using, how much you pick up on your brush, etc., etc. But I feel like there's something about the way that these bristles basically resist product. Like, they don't want to hold on to the product, they just want to let it go. That has made it easier to achieve the looks that I want to achieve this month. And then this one is a smaller brush, and it's for the eyes. It's a Morphe brush, and it's garbage trash. I mean, this is just a bad, bad brush. I have found with Morphe that the quality of the brushes varies widely. And the brushes that I do have from Morphe that I like, and I mean, this brush is my favorite, so I like it, but it's for a weird reason. The good brushes that I have from Morphe, I bought them in store. I went into the Morphe store in Burbank one time with Julene, actually, when she was visiting last year, not this year, not the visit that we filmed during that you guys saw, but She visited last year, and oh no, it must not have been last year because it was my no-buy year. It must have been 2017. It must have been when we had just moved to LA. She came down and visited and we went to the Morphe store. It was nice to be in the store because I got the chance to feel all of the brushes, but it struck me when I was in there that there was just no way to tell online which brushes were good and which ones were kind of garbagey. And I had, I think, once before that placed an order from Morphe and gotten some brushes, and I had gotten like a discount set of brushes, and they were all just horrible, like thick, plasticky bristles. And they've all since pretty much been decluttered, except for this one. And I'm not sure why I kept this around because I wasn't using it very much until this month, but this month, inspired by how much I was enjoying the plasticky bristles of this brush, I reached for this one, which is even more plasticky. It's very, very rough and uncomfortable on the eyes, but I was looking for a brush that I could kind of trust to not hold on to eyeshadow, and then I could just kind of scrub all over my eyes to diffuse shadow in a rough and tumble way. And I've been reaching for this brush a lot for that purpose. It's like bad brushes are my favorite this month or something, like bad scratchy brushes. I've found a way to use them that I really like. And this one especially is a surprise. Lately, it started shedding and leaving hairs all over my eyes. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a bad brush, and I'm not sure I'm really going to keep it that much longer, but I may keep an eye out for something like this that's a little bit better made, or maybe there are brushes out there that are intended to be this kind of scratchy and resistant to shadows that are a little more comfortable to use than this one, which is a little uncomfortable to use. But I've just found myself using it over and over and over again this month, and so I can't say that it's not a favorite, because it's the perfect fit for my favorites video. It's something that I've owned for years that I didn't start using until this month, and then I used it all the time this month. So, okay, and then one more makeup, I mean, it's not even a technique, it's a preference. I've moved back in the direction of very little coverage on my face this month. And I think for a while there, last year, I was doing this. I was going for as little coverage, truly as little coverage as possible on my face. And then a couple of months ago, I started using concealer again under my eyes. I started using my Shape Tape again to really brighten my under eyes and to blank out my under eyes, to take care of that redness on my chin and my under eyes and really make them bright and white. And then just suddenly at the beginning of February, I started feeling like I didn't want to see that makeup on my skin. I've really been enjoying having a bold or unusual eye look and then no makeup on the skin, truly. Like not just no makeup, but really like someone looks there and they're really seeing your skin. I still do need to conceal scars. I do a little bit of redness concealing, like teeniest bit with my teeny tiny brush, maybe around the nose, but I've been embracing the redness under my eye area right here, and I've been embracing that kind of line. You know, there's that little faint line where it's sort of red underneath it and a little bit whiter above it. It's sort of a line that defines where the eye socket is, but then it also tends to have some redness around it that makes it starker. I've just been kind of going with that. I've been embracing those uneven areas on the face as a signal to whoever's talking to me that I'm not wearing makeup on my skin, because I've been wanting to go for the makeup on the eyes, no makeup on the skin look. And I feel like the less perfected your skin looks, the more clear it is that you haven't made up your face, and that the eye look is just kind of for fun or for glamour or for feeling good rather than for like putting on another face on top of my own face, if that makes sense. So it's just like the way I've been thinking about makeup lately is that. And it's what I've been wanting to do when I put on makeup lately. So I've been spot concealing, especially I've had a bunch of spots this month come up right here on this side of my face for some reason, around here and around here. So I've been consistently spot concealing and just, you know, doing a little bit to even out my skin tone, but I've been happy to let the natural contours of my face kind of shine in a way that I wasn't before. I've been covering them up for several months and then I just uncovered them in February. So truly natural, truly fresh skin has been my favorite. But I did want to tell you, or I kind of wanted to ask you, I kind of wanted to poll you about a concealer that's not so intense. Because here's the thing, Shape Tape's my only liquid concealer. I have a little pot of NARS NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer that I use for spot concealing. That's a really good match for my skin tone. And then Shape Tape has been my only brightening under eye concealer, like something that I would put on to even out those areas. It's so heavy. And previous to now, I've been like, well, I could just sheer it out, or I can just, you know, put on a very thin layer. But I'm realizing lately that there's a limit to that technique. Like even this the tiniest spot of Shape Tape sheared out, it still has a kind of thickness, a kind of chalkiness. And I guess I can sort of blend it with oils or blend it with stuff, but it always is gonna have that, I mean, it doesn't look cakey on me, but it has kind of like the feeling of cake. The cake spirit is in it. And I have been wanting to move away from that. And that's part of why I stopped wearing that concealer this month, because I was just like, I would rather just look fresh-faced and a little bit imperfect than have that cakey concealer. But I know that there's a whole world of products out there that are not like that are concealers, or they're meant for that purpose, but that aren't cakey in spirit. And I just haven't explored that world because I don't keep a wide array of base products. I always have one spot concealer, one liquid concealer, one foundation that I rarely use, one color corrector, and then I've got this wide array of color cosmetics for having fun on my face. I am kind of a novice when it comes to concealers, and I have realized that I'm looking for a concealer that's not full coverage. So I would like to know if any of you have suggestions, but here is the catch. It has to have a very, very, very light color option. Very, very light. So one of the reasons I like Shape Tape is because the lightest color of Shape Tape is lighter than my skin, and so it actually brightens me up. There are very few ranges of concealer of which that is true. I would appreciate it the most if one of you, or if any of you, knows of a concealer that you think fits the bill, a little bit more glowy, a little bit more emollient, a little bit less cakey, not so full coverage, more natural, and you actually happen to be positive that there is a shade in that range that's as light as the lightest concealer in Shape Tape. So if any of you are as fair as I am, or if you're a makeup artist and you know these things, let me know. And I'll tell you too that the ones that I'm considering, the products I'm kind of wondering about, are Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Hollywood, what's it called? Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. I'm wondering if that can be used under the eyes, or if it's too highlighting. Like, do you think that could kind of work as a very sheer base? Any of you? Any of you experts in that product? I'm very curious to know. And I'm also curious to know if any of you knows whether the light shade in that is really quite light, or if it's not. I've also been looking at the Hourglass Veil Retouching Fluid. And I know that it's not supposed to be a concealer, but I'm kind of looking for an in-between product. I'm looking for something that can be sort of a sheer veil of brightness on those areas of my face, but really, I don't really require that much coverage, if that makes sense. It's more just a matter of like combating a little bit of redness. And the third one I've been wondering about is the Bobbi Brown Intensive Serum Concealer. So if any of you has an opinion on any of those three products, the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter, the Hourglass Veil Retouching Fluid, or the Bobbi Brown Serum Concealer, an opinion about whether it works as a concealer, whether it's natural, and whether the fairest shade is going to be fair enough for me, I will welcome your expertise with open arms. It feels extremely dramatic and life-changing that I'm considering welcoming a new complexion product into my life, because I never do that. I almost never do that. I have my standards, I have the ones that I use. I just use the same one until it's done and then I repurchase it. I don't usually branch out. I don't usually explore in this realm. And then the last thing that I wanted to tell you about that has been an instant favorite this month actually is something that's new, but it's not a cosmetic product. It is Joe's birthday present to me, which is right here. Ugh. Joe gave me a weighted blanket for my birthday, and I just wanted to report back to you guys about it. I mean, it's actually a favorite. It is truly a favorite of the month. Well, gosh, you guys know that my birthday was only last week, so am I doing that YouTube thing where I'm like, I just got it, but it's a favorite? I think I more just wanted to tell you about it because I used a weighted blanket as an example of the kind of thing that I would be willing to accept in PR when I was talking about my PR policies in my channel changes video at the beginning of the year. I was saying I've always wanted a weighted blanket. I really want a weighted blanket, but they're too expensive for me to buy with my budget, and so I'm not in the market for one, but if one were offered to me, I would definitely accept it because I'm trying to only accept things that I actually want. That's the reason I used it as part of my explanation for my PR policy. So I had a lot of feedback on that video about weighted blankets and people saying they're really worth it, they're great. When we were in Portland, we stayed with good friends, and my old friend Liz has a weighted blanket and she was actually keeping it in her guest room. So I got to sleep under it and I was just completely sold. I was like, this is amazing. And I sort of mentioned to Joe, I was like, I think I might put this on my birthday wish list. And then it turned out that that was what he decided to get for me. So there are a bunch out there. And I learned actually when I was at Liz's house in Portland under her weighted blanket, doing research online because my birthday was upcoming, that there are way more options for weighted blankets now than there even were like some months ago. Because when I first became interested in them and I looked it up, I feel like I couldn't find a decent one for under $200 or something. I mean, it really seemed like this is a specialty item. But now there are more weighted blankets than you can shake a stick at all over the internet. And many of them are kind of around the $50 or $60 range, which is I think maybe what this one was. I got the 15-pound one. I would say my weight fluctuates between like 130 and 140, usually around 135. And so I'm right on the cusp of what you are recommended to have as your weighted blanket. So Liz had the 12-pound weighted blanket. She's a little bit smaller than I am. And I liked hers, but I definitely felt like I could handle a couple more pounds. So I decided to go for the 15-pound weighted blanket, and I absolutely love it. It's perfect for me. So I'll link the one that Joe actually got for me down below. And I do endorse this one. I mean, there's been nothing bad about it. It's been great, but the possibilities are pretty much endless, and you can pay more, you can pay less, you can get one that comes with a cover, you can get one made out of bamboo, you can get one made out of fleece. I mean, they're just weighted blankets of all kinds available now at lower prices than they used to be. So I wanted to tell you about that. Personally, I'm really intense about optimizing my sleep quality. I have done a lot of research about what is likely to disturb your sleep and how to get a good night's sleep. And I have like an amber bulb in my bedside lamp, and I have this big eye mask that's full of buckwheat and lavender that I've talked about before. And I'm trying not to let blue light get into my eyes within the last several hours of the day. And I do everything that I have found that you can do to sleep better. More specifically than that, they are meant to help with anxiety and insomnia and a whole host of other ailments. I would say if you're interested, click through and read about them on the various websites or look them up yourself and, you know, do your own research to see if you think it might be something for you. But when I get under my weighted blanket, I definitely feel my muscles kind of unlocking a little bit. I can kind of feel my body being encouraged to let go of some of the tension of the day. And I can't always do that when I just lie down in bed. I just lie there like, you know, and there's something about the weighted blanket that gently encourages my body to just kind of let it go. So that's the first and most impressive effect that I've noticed from the weighted blanket. And then I just did sleep really well when I was sleeping under the one at Liz's house, and I have slept really well under this one since I have gotten it for my birthday. So I love it. I'm really happy to have this one. I wanted to let you guys know that I have one now, and I guess I feel like I can count it as a favorite because it has become an instant classic in my life since Joe gave it to me on my birthday. All right, that is it. Those are my favorites for the month of February. That is what I've been loving doing with my face and what I have been loving sleeping under on my bed. And do let me know if you have any thoughts about a more natural coverage concealer for someone who is basically as white as a sheet of paper. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you are remembering to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.